We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook.
So what exactly is DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency? What are the actual tasks it will do, and how will it be run and implemented? These are the questions I'll be answering in this video. In simple terms, DOGE is a government project headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy with the mission to slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies, as well as provide advice and guidance from outside of government and drive out the massive waste and fraud. Things deemed essential by Donald Trump to the Save America movement. And DOGE is planned to be so efficient at its purpose that it will do something which no department has ever done before: delete itself by the time of its expiry date, set for July 4th, 2026. This would be the 250th anniversary for the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and Trump referred to the successful completion of this project as the perfect gift to America. So what is the mindset behind establishing DOGE?
If you're dealing with one agency, that's one thing. But if you've got to deal with 5 agencies, and the agencies will have to meet with each other, now you've got like 25 different meeting configurations that have to take place. We could build the rocket faster than they could process the paperwork to approve the launch. So we're sitting there for 2 months. You just can't make progress. Like, this is why we can't build high-speed rail in America. It's basically illegal. Because if you've got regulators, every year they're going to add more regulations. It's just automatic. Like they just output regulations. And there's more laws and regulations every year until basically everything's legal, so we can't get anything done. We just need a review of regulations to say which ones are sensible and which ones are not.
Now, there are of course also good sides to regulations, such as protecting the public or environment by establishing certain standards. And Musk is aware of these critiques, but his point is that since the United States was founded in 1776, federal agencies and regulations have grown and piled up into a bureaucratic nightmare, where the regulatory process doesn't make sense, stifling progress and innovation. So these are the kinds of regulatory issues which DOGE is meant to address, and one of the ways it is intended to do that is by greatly reducing the number of federal agencies. But how exactly does Musk think that the delicate matter of reducing the federal workforce should be handled?
The point is not that people suffer economic hardship. The point is just that there are more productive things they can do in the economy, and it would be better if they did these other more productive things, and we didn't have this vast federal bureaucracy. So I was like, maybe like a couple of years of pay would be good, and then they could take a vacation, they could take another job and get double pay. People can move to where they're making products and services that are more useful to their fellow human beings.
Okay, so now that we understand the mindset behind DOGE, let's talk numbers. Currently, the annual U.S. federal budget is valued at around $6.5 trillion. So what amount does Musk think can be cut from that budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah! A cut of $2 trillion works out as a reduction of around 30% for the annual federal spending. Now, as for the federal workforce, Ramaswamy, who is known for his anti-bureaucratic stance, also has a strategy in mind to reduce the number of federal employees significantly. Here's what he has stated on the matter.
It will be a plan that reduces the size of the federal employee headcount by over 75% if I'm the next president by the end of my first term, 50% of which is implementable by the end of year 1.
So that's Ramaswamy's input to DOGE. Clearly, he has no intention of messing around with that massive 75% reduction. But what about the federal agencies? What is the plan of action concerning them? Well, this is where Musk comes in once again.
Do we really need, whatever it is, 428 federal agencies? Like, if there's so many that people have never even heard of, and that have overlapping areas of responsibility, I think we should be able to get away with 99 agencies. They certainly shouldn't have overlapping responsibilities. And if it turns out that there's some regulation or agency that was doing something useful, we can put it right back.
So, going from 428 to 99 federal agencies, which would then be very nearly 2 per state. Now, whether or not all these proposed figures are realistic is up for debate. Let me know what you think. Also, liking and subscribing ensures that your suit will fit 4% better. Okay, now let's dive into how these measures could actually be implemented. So the acronym DOGE is Musk's tongue-in-cheek reference to the internet meme, but the Department of Government Efficiency is not actually an official government department. Its operation is more likely to be that of an advisory board, providing advice and guidance from outside of government. That complicates things a bit from a legal perspective. For one thing, the US is not a private company, so the laws associated with laying off the federal workforce are more complex. The jobs for the majority of federal employees are protected through unions, which set up non-voidable contracts signed by the government, so that makes getting rid of them very difficult. Even for those who aren't protected by a union, the government has to prove that a federal employee is guilty of wrongdoing, which can still be protested and then appealed by said employee. However, there is a strategy which could perhaps be implemented to overcome this, and that's called reduction in force. Basically, this is the permanent termination of employees due to economic conditions, lack of funding or work, restructuring, or elimination of their department. And this approach might allow federal employees to be fired without needing to prove their wrongdoing. Okay, and what about DOGE's authority to actually change things? Because traditionally, the ability of outsiders to direct things in government has been rather limited, since there are complications which arise when an outsider acts on the government's behalf. For instance, managing government employees as an outsider could lead to being charged with a felony relating to the conflict of interest law in the federal code. Statute 18 U.S.C. Section 208 prohibits all federal and special government employees from participating directly or substantially in any particular government matter that will have a direct and predictable effect on their financial interests or the financial interests of those with whom they have certain relationships, such as family or business partners. So although Musk and Ramaswamy are currently outsiders, this is somewhat of a gray area, and things could get complicated. Because as businessmen, moreover operating businesses which regularly interact with federal agencies, they would both stand to benefit from the suggested policies. One possibility might be for Trump to grant them a waiver for the conflict of interests and allow them to become part of the government without making divestments. Musk and Ramaswamy could also perhaps bypass Senate approval for their positions by being allowed to continue operating as advisors in the private sector. We'll have to wait and see which solutions they opt for. Now, as for how governmental decisions will be made, DOGE will also engage via social media and other means to get public input on where actions need to be taken, such as those for cutting excess government spending, abolishing redundant agencies, downsizing the federal workforce, and reducing regulatory burdens. DOGE will then also broadcast how those actions will be taken and the new policies which get implemented. So transparency and accountability are vital components of this effort, and that very much reflects the business mindset which will be implemented with this new Trump administration. For Americans, it's like he and his team are viewing you, the citizen, as a shareholder of a company, which in this analogy is the United States of America. And shareholders want to know exactly how their money is actually being spent, and that wise decisions are being made with their investments. A company's board of directors then has an obligation to report to the shareholders and give evidence of responsible management. So good on you, big shot. Personally, I find that this approach to governance makes a lot of sense in terms of actually respecting the resources of the US citizens. And apparently, there could even be a leaderboard type system where different departments compete to incentivize efficient and effective use of taxpayer money. Now, there's still room for a lot of speculation as to which departments DOGE will be affecting, but we can presume that it will focus on ones like the IRS, Department of Education, Department of Consumer Protection, and others. So what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, you might want to check out these videos next, and make sure you've subscribed. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.